What do I mean by living adventurously? I didn't really ask myself any questions like this at all in my life until I was in my 20s. I didn't make any conscious thoughts. I was just going along with kind of what I was expected to do through school and university. I was training to be a teacher. I enjoyed teaching. I was good at it. It felt worthwhile. It had a good purpose. The pay was fine. The holidays were brilliant. And life was heading along fine, but I didn't really question it. And it was only when I started to ask myself, is this truly what I want with my one wild and precious life? Why am I doing what I do in my life? And that then helped give me the boldness to change direction, to realize that actually what I wanted to do was different. It wasn't easier, it was harder to make that change, but it was different. And I don't think it matters what direction you choose to go in. What matters though is that you do it deliberately. So you actually ask yourself, why am I doing this? And then make the choices accordingly. And I think that sets you off towards trying to live the life of your choice and to live more adventurously, which you will be pleased to hear, in my mind, has nothing to do with sleeping in tents, having a miserable time, getting salt sores on your buttocks, all those other joys of big adventures. It's really just about doing stuff that feels exciting and risky and uncertain and fun to you, and things that just doing stuff with an attitude of curiosity and open-mindedness and just thinking, to heck with it, I'm going to take a jump and give this a go. Trying new things. All of this is part of living adventurously, and I really feel in my own life it's become important to try and just do this every day. And it might be about how you try and live a bit more adventurously in your work, or in your free time, or your work-life balance, or your time away from it all with your family. By all means, hatch big, crazy, wild plans. I'm all for that. If you're struggling to know what you should do, ask the 80-year-old version of yourself for advice. Say, hey, when I'm 80 years old, what should I have done with my life? Ask the 80-year-old you what to do, and they'll probably give you a good answer to help you live a life that's filled with purpose and with as few regrets as possible. But I think it's also important to live adventurously every day. And one thing that my big trips have really helped for me, trying to transport that into normal life, is that they've given me a mindset of not really caring what people think and just doing what feels like the right, exciting thing for me. I climb trees despite being a grown man. I often turn up to smart corporate speaking events with wet hair because I've just jumped in the nearby river. I love turning up at meetings in fancy offices in London, smelling of wood smoke. I love this kind of stuff. And all of this I feel fits in with living adventurously. Oh, hang on. What's that I hear? You can see why I never went for acting in my life choices. What's that I hear? Oh yes, I know what it is. It's you yelling at me, shouting at me now, getting really angry, saying, oh, it's all right for you to live adventurously. You've got an easy life. You haven't got a proper job. You're able-bodied and fit and healthy and white and a man, and it's much harder for me in my life to do these sort of things. I don't deny any of that. There are barriers, a lack of time, a lack of money, so many things. There are so many barriers and obstacles that make all of this stuff hard. I'm definitely not denying them. I'm going to talk about them in great detail in the series to come. Please, though, just lay them aside for now. We'll revisit them in good time. The reason I mention this is because what I want to point out today is that voice shouting, it's all right for you. Because I think in many ways that yelling voice and I have it in my head as well all the time, the yelling voice. You're not yelling at me, random bloke down a camera. What you're really yelling at is yourself. And I do this all the time in my head. I'm yelling these things. Oh, I can't do this because these obstacles, these fears, and it's just shouting at myself. And one of the very hardest parts of trying to live a bit more adventurously is acknowledging that voice shouting in your head, the blame and the excuses and the problems, and finding a way to quiet that and get on and do stuff anyway. So barriers and voices in your head all get in the way of living adventurously. There are far easier ways to live life than this. My life would have been much simpler had I gone down my original path of becoming Mr. Humphrey's biology teacher. But the choice that I've made to go in a different direction certainly led to a life that feels interesting to me, and one, so far at least, filled with fewer regrets. Thinking about schools, I often go to do talks at schools. When I speak to the kids, I say, who here would like to cycle around the world? And all the kids go, me! And I say, who would like to have written a book? And all the kids go, yeah! And who would like to be an astronaut? Woohoo! And then I speak to adults, and somehow we grow up and our hopes become more modest. Real life gets in the way. We see our limitations. We see the things we're not so good at. We lose our woomph. We lose our lust for life. And what I'm trying, and I know that, you know, real life gets in the way of a lot of these things. And it can be hard to come up with crazy goals when you're a grown-up, not a kid in the playground. But let's try to rekindle some of this childlike enthusiasm, some youthful optimism and positivity, remember our childlike dreams, and then take the steps to make them actually happen. It is time to rekindle some fires, to light some fires, to begin making plans, to weave living adventurously a little bit every day into the daily fabric of our one wild and precious life.